Oya Maat. Hey, peace and love, everybody. This is your brother Garfield. I'm gonna be we're gonna be talking about Dr. Oya Maat is gonna do a clapback on George Macon, right? And then we're gonna have we're gonna talk later on. We're gonna get into Reza Islam, Bill Gates. We're gonna look at everybody's resume and what they bring to the table. We're gonna talk about conspiracies and all of that stuff, but we're gonna definitely get it in. All right, peace and love to everybody that's watching. Let me see if I could get this right here. All right, so let me get this video here first. I don't know if I need to play the video and make the people hear the I don't need to show the video. I don't need to screen share. All right, but we're gonna get it in right now. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about Dr. Oya Maat, her comments when these two pastors were on. And we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna get it in. All right. Let me see what we got here. All right, cool. All right. So let me do this. Let me play this part here with these pastors. We're gonna get it in at the beginning. Let me get some people up in here in the chat. Let me get some people up in here. We're gonna do what we do. All right. Hold on. What are we on? Are we on? Okay, we're on Dagger Squad. All right. All right. All right. Okay. All right. So let me play the pastors and when Dr. Maat called in.
Out every single person, find out who your state rep is and your state senator, if it's set up like that, or Kevin can tell you the language for Jersey, your assemblyman, and whoever represents you in your district. And I need you to give them a call or shoot them an email and let them know.
All right, my man went blank on us again.
That's okay. Hey, listen.
All right, yeah, it's all right. But let me get this call.
Let me tell you about that. Okay, let me let you.
Let me get this caller right quick because they holding on. Peace and black power to you, family. What's your name and where you calling from?
Peace and black power. This is your sister, Dr. Maat.
Dr. Maat. What's happening, doctor?
Hey, Sarnetta, nothing much. I just want to say peace to you, Brother Sarnetta, peace to the doctor, and a peace to the pastor, and also peace to Mr. Curtis Cost. I know he had to run, but peace to him, and also peace to everyone in the chat. I love you all, including my haters. I know I got a lot of haters out there, but I still love you because I love you because you're black. And so anyway, I totally get what the message was today. I've been listening since you went live, Sarnetta, and I got the notification. And so I understand what the brothers are saying. They're saying question everything. You know, as thinking people, we should question everything. And I agree with those brothers. We shouldn't totally trust anything. Question all information, investigate all information. And when someone is presenting you with what they call information, make sure that they do have sources and that you fact check what they say. So I understand where the brothers were coming from, but I just want to say this to the brothers. We have to keep the same energy, you know, so we talked a lot about, you know, rebelling and, you know, against the government and we don't trust the government, but we need to keep that same energy. So for example, you have a pastor on the panel, and I'm pretty sure the pastor has a 501c3. Okay, you have a doctor on the panel.
Actually, we don't have a 501c3.
Yeah, let me finish. Let me finish, brother, and then you can go right here. And so, you know, you got a 501c3. I'm pretty sure. You have another person on the panel who's a doctor, and I'm pretty sure his doctorate was awarded to him by a state institution. Okay, and so we need to just keep that same energy. Keep the same energy when you go to the supermarket. If we don't trust the government, we need to keep that same energy when we go to the supermarket, when we put our money in banks, when we send our children to the public school system, when we go to the hospital, when we go to our primary care doctors, when we take medicine, and even using the devices that we're using now to have this discussion. We're using the internet, we're using cell phones, right? We're using laptops and devices. So we need to keep the same energy, and that's all I ask.
So what do you mean? What do you mean by that? So what do you mean by that? Let them know.
When I say keep the same energy, you know, you in one way you say, I don't trust the government, you know, they lied to me, the media, I don't trust the government, but it's like, wait a minute, your money is in the banks. So you do trust the government, right? You go to the supermarket, so you do trust the government. you send your child to the public school system. I always say the public school system, but you educate your child. I mean, you trust the government enough to send your child there for 8 hours a day. So I know that it sounds good, Sinetta, to say that, you know, we shouldn't trust the government, but we have to admit that we all trust the government to a certain degree. We have to admit that.
Let me take this one real quickly. So with our ministry, our ministry has been in a ministry for 23 years. I've been pastoring for 23 years. I've never pastored a church that had a 501c3 ever in my life. I've got missions in the Dominican Republic. I've got work. I've done work in South Africa as well as Kenya, and so nowhere in the world are we governed by the government whatsoever. We are it's what is called a sovereign church. I've been trying to educate Black pastors all over the United States of America to give back their 501c3s. Few of them want to listen because they're fearful. They're actually, 501c3s for a little bit of tax exemption credit that's automatically afforded regardless of being a 501c3. I have 5 adult children, and they're all, my daughter's in medical school. They're older now, but my kids went to Christian schools and they went to boarding schools because I didn't trust the system. I'm a major. If you look up Dr. Aaron Lewis, Hartford, Connecticut, you'll see my name come up publicly attacking the Hartford Board of Education. And so I'm an advocate and a human rights activist. I totally believe that the government has overreached in many areas. I completely believe that the government does not represent our people. I'm not a Democrat, I'm not a Republican, I'm a registered libertarian because I believe most Black folks should be and dominate and connect with the party for the sake of liberty, for the sake of freedom, because I believe that the Democratic Party is a farce, and I believe that that Black people has been loyal to it. They've been loyal to it for too long without getting anything. Listen, I publicly said, I've written about that white, rich Democrats control the Democratic Party and make poor-minded Black people feel important by letting them into the club when they have no power whatsoever to do a doggone thing. And so that's really my stand on government. We get invited to the table, but we can't eat. We starve sitting at the table. And that's the whole mindset of the Democratic Party. So everywhere you see the Democratic Party ruling in the United States of America are the most poorest and impoverished and decimated communities in the United States of America. And the reason why is because white, rich people control the party, and they basically give Black people what we love, titles.
Yeah, it's interesting when you say, we use the government. I thought about that because, I've worked in government system for a long time, in and out of government. I'm quite aware of how it works at the state level, at the national level, at the global level. And I get what you're saying. I do support good government when it works to empower people and create balance. I think government can do some good work. And I think what Dr. Lewis just said about the Democratic Party, I just want to add something to that. I've been noticing in my lifetime that the Democratic Party, I just want to take a step back. The Democratic Party has no compassion for Black Americans in this country. And when I say that to Black people, you know what they say to me? Well, what about the Republicans? I said, I'm not talking about the Republicans.
Right.
I'm talking about the 95% group, where we place our votes at and place our power at. And the other thing, Sister Maat, that I've been just struggling with, I'm finding out in my lifetime that Black Americans identify with being more Democrat than being human, being more Democrat than being Black American, being more Democrat than being foundational Black, being Democrat more than being American descendant of slaves. They will give their life's breath for a party that has no compassion for them. None. And I'm stunned by that.
All right.
Well,
Thank you, Dr. Maat.
Okay, all right, go to the next caller.
Let me go to the next caller. All right, thank you. Let me get my man, let me get my brother. He been.
Hold on, family. Hold on 1 second. Yeah, if you notice, he cut off Dr. Maat because he knew George Macon was calling. All right, he didn't want you to respond. But Dr. Maya, go ahead, man. You could talk. Go ahead, sis.
All right. Well, first and foremost, Brother Garfield, I want to say peace and power to you, brother. I appreciate you allowing me to come on the platform just to state my position in this whole matter, because I got rushed off the phone, and I know your viewers heard the clip. And so, Sinetta rushed me off the phone to take, I guess, George Macon's phone call. And, and so I wasn't in a situation where I had an opportunity to defend myself. I was no longer on the call. And so the brothers started saying some things, and actually they misrepresented what I said. And then you had George Macon, who totally didn't understand what I say. And it kind of went over everyone's head. What I was saying was this, family. These brothers did a show on Sinetta's platform for about 2 hours. And I heard a whole lot of anti-government rhetoric, for 2 hours. And here it is, a pastor, okay? And a brother who claims to be a doctor. I didn't see any paperwork, but this is a supposed doctor, right? And so they're on the platform, and it's Black power this and Black power that, and Black people shouldn't be doing this. And I said, well, I feel you. I was with the brothers. I said, you're right. We shouldn't be dependent on the government. We shouldn't take everything the government gives us. And so then I just asked these brothers to keep the same energy. So if that's the case, then Black people should be collectively growing our own food. If that's the case, we should be building educational institutions for our babies instead of sending our babies to the public food system. If that's the case, then Black people should be banking Black. If that's the case, we should be building our own hospitals, creating our own medicines. So, it was a lot of hypocrisy that was spilled on the platform. And see, what I did was tell an uncomfortable truth. And the uncomfortable truth is that we all trust the government to a certain degree. And let me elaborate on that. Let me expound on that, because I'm pretty sure some of your audience members may say, well, I don't trust the government. Yes, you do. We buy food from them. When we go to the supermarket, Brother Garfield, and we pick up a can of string beans, or we go and get some fresh produce stuff, the food is regulated by who? The FDA. So you do trust the government because you go to the supermarket and you get the food. You're not taking the food home and dissecting it and testing it for chemicals and breaking. You're not doing that. You go to the market, you pick up food, you take it home, you cook the food for your family. So you trust the government, right? You trust the government. You also trust the government when you send your child to the public school system. So in spite of Columbine, can you mute your mic for me real fast? I hear some feedback. But in spite of Columbine, and also in spite of Sandy Hook and some of these other incidents where you had shootings at schools, we still send our children to the public school system. And there is a level of trust. We may have some anxiety that goes along with it, but it's still a level of trust. Because in my heart of hearts, I know that no loving mother, no loving father would send their child to an institution where they feel like the institution was harming their children. Otherwise, you would be homeschooling your children. And if you could not homeschool your children, you would be sending your children to an African center school, or you would be forming a homeschool alliance within your community if you truly did not trust the school system. We also trust the banks. When we deposit our money into the banks, you trust that your money will be available to you when you go back and get it when you want to go back and get it. You trust that it's not going to disappear. And if you look up the definition of trust is synonymous with confidence. So there is some confidence that if I put my money in this bank, when I want to go back and access it, it'll be available to me. Because if you didn't have that confidence, AKA trust, then you would not deposit your money in the bank. When we go to the hospitals and see doctors, when we get medicines, who do you think regulates the medicines that you're taking? The medicine that they prescribe to you, the 800 milligram Motrin, the Tylenol, where do you think that comes from? That comes from the government. So you trust them enough to put that stuff into your body. And so what I'm saying, Brother Garfield, is Black people got to stop living in denial. We really live in denial. And there's a lot of hypocrisy. We talk Black power, this, anti-government, that, but we have to admit that we are in total compliance with the people that we say that we're anti. So I want to leave it at that. Brother Ankh, do you want to add to that? Brother Ankh, unmute your mic, brother.
Damn, boy, the machine moves me out no matter what. Damn. Did y'all play George Bacon part yet?
No, we didn't play his part yet. He played my part and he wanted me to clear up my position. And so really stand with what I said, brother Ankh. Can you expound on that?
Yeah, I'm about to. Yeah. So first of all, Dr. Bailey, I'm tired of these Negropeans not calling you by your real title. The other guy, I don't know who the guy was, called you Mike Sister My Yacht. No, you're Dr. fucking Bailey. And I'm tired of this nonsense. All right, it has like this male chauvinist kind of sort of twinge to it. You know what I'm saying? Respect the damn title. Respect the excellence that you bring to the damn community. If he was talking to a white person and she was a doctor, he would actually call her by her title. Not to mention the raggedy ass preacher, excuse my language. Okay, that's my last cuss word for the day. But the raggedy preacher don't know how to send my kids to Christian school. Well, last time I checked, it was the Christians that enslaved us. Like, are we just baffled and crazy around here? Oh, I don't send them to school, I send them to a Christian school. Really? And then you're a pastor. So you saying you're really part of an organization that was the primary arm of the government that enslaved black people, and now you come back 500-600 years later talking, I don't trust the government. You do trust the government. You're in a church that's built by government regulations. You're all sitting in that church. You don't think the roof gonna fall in. You know why you don't think the roof fall in? Because you trust the government. You have trusted that the regulations that they put forth, that the damn roof won't fall in on you. How about the water? You trust the governmental regulations that the water that runs through your raggedy church won't immediately kill you. You trust that. And you know why you trust the government? Because you couldn't do it on your damn self. Because you're anti-science. It's nowhere in the world you're going to build a well in today's world and bring water to the people without science to be able to test the damn water. Do you know, hold on, am I saying this right? What is the word, Dr. Miat? It's a disease that comes in water. It begins with a C. I can't pronounce that quite properly.
I know what you're talking about. Oh my God.
It's something, tag, I can't think of that word right now.
I gotta think about it too. But go ahead, because you got me over here on fire. I just had my mic on mute.
So this water that was killing people, right? It needs to be ran through filtration systems based off of the fact that there's millions of people in cities, right? These government regulations separate the sewage from the daggone water. Drainage systems. Concrete Corey gonna come on and tell you that, man, without concrete, your ass be sick and dying. Like it was in the Middle Ages. Disease was killing them. The same diseases that killed them in Africa. Okay, so, man, technology, engineering. So when a person has a doctorate in electrical engineering, that means they have a certain level of responsibility back to their community. It means they're trained in the system of understanding what the hell is going in their particular field. And when you're a doctor, that means you're at it's called the level. Okay? So that shit they were talking was at the level, right? They don't have an opposing view. And we talked about this today, Dr. Oya Maat. We talked about, wait a minute, when some of the professors said, man, I'm just bringing the other view on. No, bro. There is not another view when it comes to science. Meaning you have to be in science, right, to articulate your view. And it has to be articulated through the means of what peer review, scientific method, and then you say, well, this is the side that I want to put forth. You don't have a side when you're on the sideline talking crazy. You don't study this in that particular field. It's just your opinion. Okay? It's your opinion. And right about now when we dine, we don't want nobody's opinion. We do not want polite opinion on the coronaviruses or any viruses, you know what I'm saying, and 5G. We don't want your opinion. George Bacon, we don't want your opinion. We want trained professionals, and I prefer them to be black. But if they're not black, I prefer them to be honest and straightforward in what they're doing, because you still could be black and still lie, cheat, and kill me. Trust is earned. We do not give trust trust is earned. So you shouldn't be trusting the government any damn way. Okay, you shouldn't be trusting people you don't know anyway. They should earn it, and over time you say, you know what? I trust them. And you alluded to the definition of what it was, Doc. So man, them two dudes right there, they're out of here, and they're very disrespectful for not honoring the work you have put in to the community, Doc.
Hey, hold on 1 second. Let me play the George Macon segment so everybody could bring that into context of what you guys just said. So let's give
What
me
did you say?
Let me play that.
George Macon? Who?
Yeah,
George Macon?
Yeah, let me
Right.
yeah, let me play his segment, his time when he spoke. Because he came on right after Dr. Maat. So let me just play his little part, and then y'all could do what y'all gotta do. All right, hold on 1 second. Let me turn this on. All right, hold on.
Trying to get in here.
Hello?
All right, peace and black power, family. What's your name and where you calling from?
Yeah, this is George Macon. I just wanted to call in real quick.
Go ahead, George.
I just want to. I'm just tired of people saying when you have people say that they don't trust the government just because you got some type of education or you got money in the bank. Like, we live in America. We got to feed ourselves. We got money in America. We are a part of America, but we're still black in America. And with all the things that happen to us, a lot of us, we shouldn't trust the government. If we speak out and speak about our distrust for the government, just because we got jobs here, that makes it less relevant. I don't understand how people come up with those talking points, especially in the pro-black sector. Sometimes it's unbelievable when I hear. I mean, I understand maybe other groups or black people that's not in the pro-black.
So you saying, like, when Dr. Maat would say things like, well, come on, you got to believe in the government because you got money in the bank, so you send your kids to school.
Yeah.
And so you saying that's a bad point. That's a bad analogy.
That's a terrible analogy. How can you be a black person? How can anybody, not just Dr. Maat, but anybody, be black in America that teach history, that teach African history, that teach about all the atrocities and things that we've been through? We go get the education because of what we've been through. We go to get knowledge. We go to make money where we can take care of our families. Our education, and a lot of our achievements is based off of trauma because of the communities we come from. We work real hard to push through because of trauma. So to say that is totally disrespectful and disingenuous. I mean, that's just unbelievable. And when they say that, anybody that's pro-black should cut them off immediately. We should not allow that.
Know, George, I come from the militant background too. Like you, I can tell you do too. And to me, what I get out of it, and all due respect to my sister, when she say things like, "Oh, how can you trust it?" You can't say you don't trust the government when you sending your kids to school, when you got jobs here, when you got money in your banks, and you work. So what I'm saying is, look at the opposite side of that. So because you are a professor or a doctor or a teacher, that means you believe in the government. That's what you're saying to us. You understand what I just said?
Pretty much.
Did you understand?
Yeah, pretty much.
That? So that means it's all right for you. Like, for example, Dr. Maat, she believes in the government because she's a teacher at a college. So Dr. Maat is letting us know she believes in the government. And we need to believe in the government if we say that we got our money in the banks. No, we don't believe in the government.
No, we don't have to.
I don't believe in the goddamn government, and I got money in the bank. That don't mean I believe in the government because I got my damn money in the bank. Where I supposed to put it on my mattress? Come on, man.
Being black, we teach on the Ma'afa. Being black in this country,
I'm not banging on my sister Maat. I love my sister Maat, but I heard her say that a few times, man. I had to say that. I'm gonna be real with you. I'm not even gonna use the term "I'm not banging" because for me, at this point where we at now, I heard seeing people all day saying sources and fact check, and I get all that. But if we're gonna use that analogy that my sister used, when we look at the people that was there before us that was hanging from trees,
that was dying, getting dogs sick on them just so we can go to these institutions to get education where we can compete in the capitalist system. That had nothing to do with trusting the government. That had something to do with us having to get into, because we can't repatriate back to Africa. We live here. We're forced here. We're here. So we got to make the best of what we have while we're here. And the way to do that, to compete, is to get education, to make money, to build things for your family. So to say that when I hear that, use that as an analogy, I think that's disrespectful, because especially the people that's intelligent. You can't come and just sit and just say something like that, because coming from Baltimore, being through what Dr. Maat might been through and what I've been through, we go to get education based out of desperations from the areas we come from to make something better of ourselves based off of what the system done to us systematically. So no, we don't trust them. Our drive we have is based off the non-trust of the government. That's the drive we have, especially some of the ones that's educated.
Right.
When you look at Dr. Leonard Jeffries, how did Dr. Let me just say this last part, and I'm gonna hang up. You look at Dr. Leonard Jeffries and Dr. Clark. They acquired the education based off the non-trust of the government. That's what pushed them even further, and that's why we push forward. So come on with that.
Good point. Thank you, George.
Yeah, George, I want to just say something to that. What George is saying is 100% correct.
Yeah, you guys could go ahead, man. Respond.
All right. So look, Ankh, you want to go first, or you want me to go first? Because I have a laundry list of things that I want to say.
Real quick.
You want me to go, or you want to go, brother?
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
I hear you, brother. I said, do you want me to go first, or do you want to go first?
I'm gonna go first and let you finish it off.
Okay, honey.
So, George Fakin, listen to what he said. He's totally contradicted. Like, we go to school because of what they did. No, we go to school because we see the conditions that we can be in if we don't have education to make it on the world stage, to make it in North America. That's why we go to damn school, not because you push us in a certain direction. We go to school for the betterment of our community. The same reason Africans went to school, to educate themselves, to give back to their damn community. The only way to give back to your community is to be educated. Point blank, educating the things that will better the community and push the community forward. That's what it is. So I don't know. And so I never gave that dude mad time to say all that foolery. So, I'm gonna let you go ahead and, you know what I mean, because I damn they want to cuss his ass out. So when I start feeling that way, for the betterment of the show and the people listening, you know what I'm saying, I just like to step back for a moment, because they allow it's rhetoric. Okay, that's non-intelligent statements. These are homo sapien ignoramus. Him and Sarnetta. You trust the government because you're a professor. No, you're a professor because you care about Black people and making sure that it's somebody there for the level. You show the kids in the community that, look, this is the level, and you can be this if you do this. That's why you became a professor. That's why you're a doctor, because you're there for the Black community, and the Black community needs a level. They don't run around sound like Sarnetta and crazy ass George Fakins. That's why you went to school. So we don't sound like that and get beat down by people that is educated. I'm done.
And so I think what's missing is listening comprehension. If you play back, and I'm glad, that's why I love when Brother Garfield play clips back so that people can speak for themselves. I said that we all trust the government to a certain extent. Those are key words. And I think that when you engage in dialogue with people, we have to, all of us have to work on listening comprehension, listening to the words that the person is speaking and comprehending what the person is speaking, to avoid miscommunication. Okay, now, there was a few things that Brother George Macon said, in my opinion, that was problematic for me. His excuse was, when I said, well, when I went through the list of things to show that we do trust the government to a certain extent or to a certain degree, he says, well, we live in America. We live in America. I mean, where does she want me to put my money? Under the mattress? We live in America. God dang it, George. Yes, we live in America. And we live in America and we have choices. We choose to send our children to school. We choose to go to the supermarkets. I mean, my family is from Sumter County, South Carolina. And I used to spend my summers down in Sumter County, South Carolina when I was a child. And I remember, and peace be upon his soul, my uncle, his name was Eugene Singleton, we affectionately called him Uncle Lucky. I remember when he used to grow his own vegetables, his own fruit. He had a chicken coop in the back. And so whenever we wanted eggs, we would go in the chicken coop to get the eggs. He had pigs in the back. He had cows. And so at one point, Black folks did grow their own food. So can we stop acting like, well, we're in America. This is what we're supposed to do. Yes, we live in America and we have choices. We don't have to send our children to public school. And I know someone in the chat may say, well, Dr. Maat, if I don't send my child to school, then they're going to come and arrest me. You can homeschool your child. They just have to be registered to be homeschooled. And the rules of homeschooling varies from state to state. I know several sisters in the community right now who are homeschooling their children. I know one sister who is a single mother and she's a nurse. She works overnight and she works from 11 to about 8 in the morning. She comes home, I think she sleeps for a few hours and she gets up and homeschools her children and do it all over again. There are a lot of Black families who homeschool, and the ones who can't homeschool, they hook up with other people who are homeschooling and they form a homeschool alliance. So it is possible. So when you say things like, we live in America, you know, you're acting like we don't have a choice, and we do have a choice. We have a choice. You can choose to send your child to an African Center school. You got Marcus Klein in Chicago. He has a school in Chicago, another school in Atlanta. We have some schools in Baltimore. There's several schools in DC. You have Baba Amin and those brothers and sisters in Texas. I mean, you just have to seek it. So you have a choice in the matter, okay? You don't have to put your money in white banks. You can put your money in Black banks. Dr. Amos Wilson talks about this extensively in his book, The Blueprint for Black Power. So we have choices. We don't exercise those choices. I would rather Black folks just say, look, we don't feel like it. But that's not act like we don't have choices and someone is putting a gun to our head, making us go to the supermarket. You can grow a garden. You can learn how to garden. I know right now with my... hold on. Hey,
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question.
Hey, mute your mic. All right. And so we have choices. Okay. And another thing he said is we don't trust the government based on our history. Look at our history. Our history should make us want to be a self-sufficient group. So what do you mean, George Macon? Our history, you said, well, look at our history. Given our history, we don't trust the government. And you're right. Given our history, we don't trust the government. And given our history, we should move differently if we truly did not trust the government. If we truly did not trust the government, we will be working to make ourselves a self-sufficient group of people collectively, if that were true, okay? And also I want to address Brother Sinetta. He misrepresented what I said. He said, I said, because, you know, of all of this stuff, you know, when she named the institutions, when she named schools and supermarkets, she was saying that we believe in the government because we participate in these things. She's a teacher, so she believes in the government. That's not what I said, Brother Sinetta. What I said, and Garfield, you played it and you can play it back. I said, given that we put our money in banks and that we send our children to institutions, that there is a level of trust. We all trust these places or these entities to a certain extent. Otherwise, we would not do it. If we did not trust or have confidence in banks, we would not put our money in banks. And let me share a story with you. I had an aunt who died at the age of 84. And so she died a few years ago. And of course, so she lived during the Great Depression. So she remembered when banks closed and took money from Black folks. They closed and they didn't give Black folks their money. And up until she died, she never put her money in the bank. What she did was, when she died, we found money under her mattress and we found money in her kitchen cabinets and cans. So she never trusted the government again after that happened. Why? Because of the history she had with the government. And I shared that story with you just to show you how someone moves when they don't trust something. So you can't tell me that you don't trust the government, but you deposit your money into institutions that are regulated by the government. It doesn't make sense. George Macon said a lot of nonsense, and he spoke with a lot of hypocrisy and contradiction. And I feel like the brothers were upset with me because I told an uncomfortable truth, okay? And it kind of took the veil off of this whole revolutionary pro-Black talk. And I think that that was really the issue. It was an uncomfortable truth. And I think that until we as Black people assess where we are and determine where we want to be, we'll continue running on the hamster wheel, okay? And that's just running in circles. So I think that we need to collectively sit down, discuss where we are and where we want to be. What is our group vision? You know what I mean? Where do we want to go? And hopefully that group vision is to become, as Dr. Claude Anderson would call it, a competitive and self-sufficient group of people. And so, Brother Ankh, I'm gonna go ahead and pass the mic.
I think you said that perfect. You took the veil off of the fake Black Power movement because it's fake. There's no power without economics. I mean, you did, see, people don't even tune into your show. What's the name of the show, Doc? And what time does it come on the book club?
The name of the show or the book club is called the RAM Book Club, The Resurgence of the African Mind Book Club. And I co-founded the book club with, y'all, put your mic for me real fast, Ankh. So I started the book club called The Resurgence of the African Mind Book Club, and I co-founded it. Like a lot of words. Brother Ankh, I can't.
Go ahead, let me go with my fault. I didn't know they was gonna start talking. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay, so the name of the book club is called The Resurgence of the African Mind Book Club. We meet on Sundays, every Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on my channel, Dr. Oya Maat. Right now we're reading Powernomics, and we're in, I think this Sunday we will be discussing chapter 7 of Powernomics. Our first book was Blueprint for Black Power. We read that in 2018. And it took us about 8 or 9 months to comb through the book, but we met every week. The book consists of 32 chapters, and we met every week, you know, and we hammered it out. I mean, we hammered it out. I'm proud of that. So that was our first book, Blueprint for Black Power. Then after Blueprint for Black Power, we read a book called The African Personality in America by Dr. Kobe Kambon. So really just trying to understand how and what shapes the personalities of Africans in America. And so those conversations are all on YouTube right now. And after that book, we read The Fossilification of African Consciousness by Dr. Amos Wilson. And again, we're reading Powernomics. And I heard that after Powernomics, we're gonna read a few small books. I think the first book is gonna be Breaking the Chains of Psychological Slavery by Dr. Na'im Akbar. And so please, family, you know, tune in. Again, we meet every Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on my YouTube channel. Go to my YouTube channel, subscribe, hit the bell so that you will be notified when we go live. And even if you're not a reader, because some people email me and they said, Doc, look, I'm not a reader. Blueprint for Black Power was 868 pages. I don't think I'm gonna be able to do it. Still tune in, family. Tune in because we have some powerful discussions. We disseminate a lot of good information. So even if you don't have the book or you don't want to read the book, just tune in to the discussions.
You finished up?
Yes.
So we actually we like to level up around here, and you had a discussion about progress. And you were actually speaking on the level, okay? Now, you know, I'm gonna give Pastor Bennett his due because, not in that discussion, but I'm giving his due when he called in to deal with them raggedy preachers, right? He was right on time with it because at this point, I'm thinking the Christians got to be the stupidest people walking around on earth. But that couldn't be possibly true. But you do have people that will take the religion and twist it to their advantage where they put people under their control with the buffoonery. They do that. Let me mute my phone up real quick, Doc. Go ahead. I gotta mute my phone up. I'm coming to making too much noise.
No. Go ahead. I can take it over. So basically what Brother Ankh is talking about is, and Brother Garfield, can you, while I'm kind of giving them a summary, can you fast forward it to when Pastor Bennett calls in? I believe he calls in right after George Macon.
Okay, I got it. Let me set it up. All right.
You go ahead and set that up. And so family, Brother Ankh is explaining what happened or describing what happened after George Macon. So after George Macon hung up, Pastor Bennett called in to address the pastor on the panel. The pastor, during the conversation, and you guys can go back and listen to the full video, but the pastor made a few comments that were problematic. He told the viewers that we should still gather, that social distancing was a means of trying to control our behavior. They're trying to condition us to be individualistic, which we already are anyway. But they're trying to condition us to be extremely individualistic. They're trying to separate us from our families and from our community. So we should still meet in spite of the government's orders. And he was saying that's just a way for the government to control us. And so he was encouraging people to meet, and he shared with the viewers that he still meets with his congregation, because I believe he said that his church is closed, but they still congregate in the park. And so when Pastor Bennett heard that, he was floored. And so he called in and he went at the pastor. So brother Garfield, do you have the clip?
You probably gotta find it. You know what was interesting, Doc? He gonna tell people to congregate in the park, but the old people and stuff don't gotta come. So the question is, why don't the old people gotta come? Is there a danger that old people might be in if you congregate in the park? And is there also a possibility that the younger people come today too might be in the danger? Why would you make that statement? Because that's what people do when they just talking shit, Doc. They just talking. You know what I'm saying? This shit is not organized for what they're talking about. They wide open.
I got it queued up when y'all ready, family. I got it queued up. When y'all ready for Pastor Bennett's part, I got it queued up.
Go ahead on. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Well, let me make this point. Hold on. So the point I'm making is these people are talking, and what we call in Baltimore, man, them niggas trying to trick you out your life, yo. Because see, if I'm wrong, if Dr. Maat wrong, if Kyle wrong, the things we've been saying, if the pseudo killer is wrong, if Garfield is wrong, the Dagger Squad is wrong, the Mossy is wrong, MBK, if we all wrong, right, then what's the worst thing that happened to you? You'll be fucking educated. But if they wrong, you run around this bitch fucked up, you done got your grandmother killed because you just took the virus home to her because you ain't sick and you don't understand what the word asymptomatic means. You ain't listening to nobody. You hate the white man's sign. You feel me? You go out there in the wilderness some fucking way, get ate up by a grizzly bear, trying to live in nature. You pick a plant thing that's gonna save you and you die, and you still die. So check this out. If we wrong, you simply get educated. If y'all wrong, you have decimated the black community with that fake African power. That's a bunch of nonsense, yo. That black power movement has been destroyed, you know what I'm saying? And it's been destroyed based off of misinformation. There is no power in that. If you don't got no resources, then you ain't got no damn power. Go ahead, Garfield.
Facts. That's facts. So go ahead.
All right, cool. I'm gonna play right now.
Mute your mic.
All right.
Man, you calling in, man. What's up, Pastor Bennett?
Hey, hey, I'm not even gonna take it over. I just got a quick question, then maybe a comment.
Go ahead, brother. I'm only playing with you, man. You know that.
Yeah, no, you know we good, son. Peace to the chat. Peace to everybody on the panel. I didn't catch the majority of it, so I can't even respond to everything was said, but I have caught the last 20 minutes. So I got a question. I believe it's, which one is the pastor? I don't want to make a mistake. Dr. Aaron?
Yes, Dr. Aaron.
Yeah. Dr. Aaron. Is Pastor Jenkins the pastor as well?
No, I'm not a pastor, sir. No, I'm not.
Okay, all right. Dr. Aaron.
He received his call to ministry.
Dr. Aaron, do you agree with Jenkins that we should congregate? And then second part of the question is, do you agree also with what he was saying as far as pastors and them maybe not being able to go to their churches and stuff like that? Do you believe that pastors who are pastoring through online ministries more or less than anything right now are proving powerless? Are they proving God powerless by closing down their churches? And do you believe that we shall gather together?
I do believe that they are not proving God powerless, but proving themselves powerless. I believe God has got all power. I think that they're proven that they will choose to listen to government without any evidence or proof and not listen to the voice of God. That's what I believe. I believe that let me tell you something. The pastors of today are completely different than the pastors of yesteryear.
Voice of God.
We don't have anything. We thought that we had nothing to fight for the past 40 years. You understand what I'm saying? So most pastors have become so much more concerned about materialism and about the outward appearance that they forgot about fighting for their people. Our pastors have been utterly deceived for the past 40, 50 years since Martin Luther King has died. They've been deceived into believing that we don't have nothing to fight for. Our people are doing horrible. But because a few folks, have a Rolls Royce to drive, because a few folks are, flying around in private jets, we don't understand that we have an obligation to still deal with the least of these, my brethren. And so the pastors have failed, not all of them, but many of them have failed in even recognizing that we are in we forget COVID-19. Before COVID-19, Black people in America was in a major crisis. Black people around the world have already been in a pandemic other than COVID-19, and most pastors have not been speaking to it. And so when we take our marching orders from people that we have no idea if they have our better interests, I mean, I'm sorry. It's not only a disgrace, but it's a disservice to the God that we say that we serve. We don't have prophetic voices like we used to. People are afraid of words like liberation. People are afraid of words like rebel. I mean, come on, man. People have been rebelling for years. We talk about Martin Luther King and we celebrate it now. Now he has a day and he has a stamp, but Martin Luther King was a rebel. And we forget that because we've gotten so comfortable that we have sought out comfort and happiness instead of meaning. So I'm looking for some brothers who call themselves clerics that's saying, forget comfort, forget, happiness. We're going to get happiness, we're going to get comfort, but we're going to fight for a little while because we've got something that we're living for called meaning. What happened to meaning? I'm doing this because it has a meaning, not because it makes me comfortable. And Black people in general have gotten so doggone comfortable that we forgot about the fight. We don't even teach our kids about it. You get what I'm saying?
All right, no, I hear you, but here is where I have a problem at. Here is where I have a problem. Where I have a problem, yes, sir. Where I have a problem is that it's, to me, everything you said it's true, it's good, and we need to have that fight, and we need to have that fight for our people. I get all that, but as to this, we go a little bit too far with the whole government thing. Not that we should be trusting government about everything, but we go too far. Bring the proof. Before you bring our people into what is really a sickness. For example, there is a separation between if the government has started this, if the government is doing something, versus are people really getting sick. Those are two separate things. So even if the government is doing something, okay, let's show the proof of that. But that has nothing to do with people I actually know are really sick and dying. That part of it ain't real.
Well, you know.
Don't tell me the people. Hold on. Let me finish.
Right, but people have all.
I'm not going to say man. Don't do that.
I'm not going to say
hold on. Don't cut me off. Don't cut me off. When I'm telling people that I have known for the last 20 years, I'm listening at them on FaceTime to the hospital, can't even breathe or talk. I'm having to comfort through the phone a mother who just lost her dad, right, through the virus. Now, here is the issue that I'm saying. What the problem that I'm having with what I'm hearing is that here is why people a lot of times look at pastors and look at Christianity and see the fakeness in it right here. Because I know pastors who was doing what y'all doing all the talk, saying, yeah, we're going to still go to church. They ain't going to close us down. Where's our faith? And then guess what? Then they got the virus. And you want to know what happened when they got the virus? They never came out and said they got it. You want to know why they never came out publicly? Because they were scared. They wanted to hide their hand because their faith didn't stop them from getting sick. And so what we're going to do is most of the people that's going out, talking, go out, when they get it, they ain't going to tell nobody they got it. They ain't gonna tell nobody they got it.
Can I ask you a minute? Hold on. No, wait a minute, sir. Okay.
Come on, Pastor Bennett, make it quick, brother. Come on.
All right. So what I'm saying is What I'm saying is, as a pastor, you have a responsibility to look over the people that God put over your life. So I'm not taking.
And suppose, let me ask you a question. Suppose I believe as a pastor that Jesus Christ is healer. I told you, I didn't write this book because I wanted money. I wrote the book because I believe it. If I believe Jesus Christ is healer to the glory of God, then how am I being of disservice to the people that I'm telling that God will heal you? Wait, so far to this moment, you just said, wait, Pastor, you just said that these people still died. I didn't kill them. You didn't kill them, right? The government didn't kill them. So if they're still dying and science does not have an answer, how can you say that we are doing a disservice to them by telling them that Jesus is healer?
That's a good question. Come on, Pastor. He right. He right, Pastor Bennett.
No,
No, Pastor Bennett, you got to wait. Let Brother Kevin go, please.
One of the things that I am so concerned about is you said a couple of things, and I don't use the word COVID-19. That's the marketing tool of Big Pharma. And I believe that every year, listen, I just lost a dear friend of mine, and he did not die of COVID. I've lost, as a matter of fact, in the last couple of weeks, there are about 4 friends of mine that I've known intimately that have died, and I know what their lives were. I know who they were. And I dare tell you this, sir, with all due respect, those people did not die of COVID-19. Those people died because they had other pre-existing conditions. Let me just finish, sir. Last year, extreme flu arrived at our doorstep, and there were a lot of people that died that year. The year before that, the year before that, the year before that, the year before that. But I'm seeing something that's very subtle in your words. You have brought the narrative that because you say COVID-19, that there's something drastically pending and you might die. And I gotta tell you something. I've had 4 family members in the hospital with the flu, with pneumonia, and how that was being addressed actually worked against their health until they got the right protocol, until they really realized that they needed to do something else. Those people are home in their houses and they're going back to work. There's something more insidious here. And I don't want to get engaged in religious doctrine or what we believe. I understand all that. I'm a man of faith. But there is a government and there are a group of oligarchs that are now getting ready to take your freedoms away from you. Your religious freedom, your medical freedom, and they're going to rip your humanity apart and cause mass confusion in this country that's going to cause grave harm to the communities that we care and love so much, okay? So let's stay single focus. Now, I dare say this to you, okay? All of these people walking around with these masks, all of these people that are looking at these death totals, all of these people that are being sold on the fact there's some magic fairy dust out there and this virus is in the air and it's going to kill you and it's going to kill your children. And, I have friends that are dying. Unfortunately, if you would have been able to go into those hospitals and see what they were doing, and guess what? I think a lot of the people that work in the hospitals and doctors are superhuman beings, and anybody that lost a family member, I hope God holds their sorrow in his hands. But let me tell you something. You are buying into a narrative that is absolutely dangerous. And I dare say this, 95% of the people that are being diagnosed as COVID victims because of this marketing and this dangerous thing that they're doing is not dying from a virus.
Right.
Now, is the virus advancing what they're going through? Yes. Are there preconditions, that is impacting their death? Yes. Is the comorbidity issue in our communities? Yes. But let me tell you what I'm not hearing. I'm not hearing anybody talk about how we get healthy. I'm not talking about, I don't hear anybody saying that we should not, listen, the mere fact that you are trapping yourself in your house, the mere fact that you are wearing those masks, the mere fact that the government is telling you that you can't go outside, you are not getting vitamin D, you are not getting vitamin C, we're not being told to change our habits, and all of those disparities that people are going around the country last week saying, oh, Black people are dying at a higher rate. I say they are the worst because we've been dying at a higher rate every day, every second, every minute in this country. And for them, wait a minute. And for them to use this COVID-19 marketing of Bill Gates and Fauci and the World Health Organization and the Rockefeller Foundation, what we need to do is come back on this show, put that information up, tie all the dots up, and guess what? Your faith is my faith. I don't care if you're Muslim, I don't care if you're Buddhist, we all believe in the same God. And no one on this in this show is being reckless because we have analyzed the information, because we've reviewed the data, because we have talked to people all around this country, all around this world, we now have figured out the truth. Now, look what happened in the last 3 weeks. In 3 weeks, we got up and we allowed some mayor, some governor, some government agencies to rip our lives apart, and we are living in fear. So here's my message to every Black American, every white American, every Jewish American, everybody. Flatten the fear. May 1st, guess what? If you stay in your house, you're trapping that virus in your house. If you don't go outside and get fresh air, and if you don't let that virus thrive and do what it does every year, right? In September and November is going to kick up again. You know what they got a plan for you, Pastor? They're going to put you back in your house again because you showed them how easy it is. Those people, 95% of those people did not die.
Hey, let me say this, I'm going to get outside.
I love you, sir. Love you.
And let you back, and ain't no beef or nothing like that. I just,
oh no, sir. I know
let
that,
me
sir.
say
I
this,
know
and
that.
then
I know that.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
I know, sir.
Let me say this. I'd rather be in my. No doubt. I'd rather be in my house than in my grave. That's number one. I'd rather be in my house than in my grave. That's number one.
Well, that's all.
Hold on. Let me finish.
Right. Come on, Pastor.
Listen. No. Come on, stop. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Go ahead, brother.
Get to it.
Go ahead, Pastor.
I'd rather be. All right. I'd rather be in my house than in my grave.
All right, let me ask you this while you said that. That's a good, I like that. But no, because I like that. I'd rather be in my house than in my grave. Well, would you rather be standing like a man or dying like a punk?
That don't even make sense.
It makes a lot of sense. Would you rather die like a man on your feet or die like a punk? Which one?
No, but let me say this before the pastor gets off. Let me say this before the pastor gets off.
No, let Pastor Bennett finish. Let him go. Let Pastor, go ahead, Pastor.
Yes.
All right. Secondly, and the pastor noticed, I'm sure Jenkins will too.
Yes, sir.
Faith is for the things that are faith is for the things that are unseen. I see the Bible, so I ain't gotta have faith for that, or where I won't get it. I see it. You won't tempt God. So pastor said, "Won't God heal?" Pastor, every single one of us is gonna die. So God being able to heal don't mean He's healing everything, because that would mean none of us would ever die. So we can't fool the people like that. Secondly, I can't tempt God. Just because I know God could stop me from falling, don't mean I go jump off the roof. And I'm saying whether you got a precondition or not, my son has a precondition. It's called asthma. So I don't tempt God and say, well, doggone it, son, who's 4 years old, we got faith. God is going to heal us. I don't take faith into something that I can see, because God also gave me something called wisdom and knowledge. And wisdom and knowledge tells me that if there's a virus, and teachers, they are telling us to do stuff. They're telling us keep working out, keep taking your vitamins, stay healthy, things that we should be doing if we get those things like colds and stuff like that. But what we cannot do is we cannot sit here and spiritualize this thing, because we act like in the Bible, Pastor, there wasn't a thing called leprosy. Did He heal leprosy all the time? No. And when they had leprosy, didn't they have to quarantine for leprosy? When the woman had issue of blood, didn't they have to quarantine?
Let me say something.
So my point.
Reverend,
I'm gonna get off right here.
Just for a second. But listen, I hear you.
Let me get off and you can go. Hold on.
Okay.
Come on. Let me get off, Pastor, and then you can go. What I'm simply saying is, if y'all have proof about the government, I'm not coming against y'all about that. I'm not fighting y'all about that. Bring it out if y'all can prove something about the government. I'm saying, as y'all have been saying, our people are already being attacked enough. We don't take them into a fire for them to get burned. Until you bring the proof and can prove that if they congregate with you, their grandmama and their great-grandmama ain't going to get sick and die, then tell them to stay at home until y'all find the cure for them to be able to come outside. I'm out.
Okay.
All right. Go ahead. Go ahead, Pastor.
Let me just here's the thing, right? The Bible says to every man is given a measure.
I've heard enough of those.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Pig eating.
Yes, sir.
Don't have no damn chuck. Oh man, I just want to go in, man. But I'm gonna mute my mic. Y'all do y'all thing, man. Y'all do y'all thing.
So did that man just say? First of all, the daggone preacher got that COVID cough. You know what I'm saying? Got that dry cough in the background. He need to relax and chill. That's first of all. Second point, the other guy, I don't know who that other guy is, but he got the jargon down pat. He got the power to the people jargon down pat. and all along spewing out information that's going to definitely affect the health of people. Did that guy say that we're trapped in our damn house? Did he just tell that lie? Did he just lie? And he said it with smoothness. He said it with confidence. We trapped in our house, and if you let them keep you trapped in your house, you know what I'm saying? Then next time when the weather changes, you'll be trapped in your house. So now we got a bunch of black people diving out the damn door. Oh, we trapped in our house. The reality is we are not trapped in our house. We're just practicing social distancing. So in areas of the community, like school where everybody's gathered together, and workplaces where a lot of people come in contact with each other, that's what you can't do. No one is stopping you. You got thousands of parks in Georgia and other places. No one is stopping you from walking around the damn block, getting some fresh air, getting out the house. As a matter of fact, I would say that black people need this time more than anybody. Pick up a goddamn book. You know what I'm saying? Get off the internet for a moment. Take some time for yourself and reflect on what you're doing as a man. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna speak for black men right now. We need this damn time. Read a damn book. Spend some time with your damn children. Black people, black men. Call them up on the phone. FaceTime them if you don't live with them. You're in the same household? Man, shit slow down. Spend some time with your son and your daughter. They need you. They need you. You ain't trapped in a damn house. But you see the rhetoric though? Yeah, and then man, I'll call the amen man. So if you go along with what he said, he amen. We're not trapped in the damn house. And then the preacher with the COVID cough coughing in the damn background. He needs to definitely mask the hell up. He the man wants to know, well, I ain't no masks. Nigga, you need to mask up. If you ain't shouting my voice, mask your ass up. We wear a mask to protect other people from us. That's why we wear a mask. We also wear a mask to stop from touching our face. Homo sapiens, ignoramus. That's exactly what they are. They got the black dialect down pat. It's what the people want. You know how people like to hear that shit? Because it don't take nothing to come up with that bullshit. And see, white people call you out on your bullshit. That's a bunch of bullshit. They don't even listen to their own people when they start talking that nonsense. We gonna turn America down. We gonna do this. You know, we gonna kill all the black people. That's revolution. You know, white people do that shit too. And guess what? People who know the world really works what they do. They look at their ass. They put their ass right on the list. They put them on the same list with you when you start talking that backwards shit. So I'm gonna make this point real clear. So now you gotta stop playing with our life, bro. You are responsible for those 200,000 subscribers you got to at least give them proper information during the time of the pandemic. Bro, we all gonna lose some money, bro. You might have to start losing some money, bro, to make sure people understand what's going on. How much do we really care for our people? How much do we really care for our damn people? It seems like when you have an intelligent conversation, a nigga get cut off. I get cut off routinely. That's me, I got cut off. Pastor Bennett was straight fire. He shows you that just because you're a Muslim, Christian, or Jew, whatever you want to be, just because you don't practice the African religion, that you can still have some damn sense with your religion. He absolutely proved that. He absolutely proved it. Those two individuals, with George Bacon and Sarnetta, was out of their rabbit-ass mind that they have officially reached the list of Homo sapiens ignoramus. Those who give you information that might get your black ass killed. Go ahead, Doc.
I mean, I think you hit the hammer on the nail when you said that whenever the voice of reason enters the platform, they get cut off. You know what I mean? And so, you know, if we were to go along, get along type of folks, we would have been on the platform for a long time. And like you said, when you call in, you get cut off. And you saw that I got rushed off. All right, we gotta get to another call. Click, and I wasn't even finished saying. Look, I wasn't even finished saying what I wanted to say. I was like, oh, okay, you moving on to another call. I was gonna say, all right, brother side, you guys be good, peace and love. I didn't even get a chance to say peace and love. They got me out of there fast. She's talking about we trust the government to a certain degree, get her out of here. And so, you know, they do that, but he did give Pastor Bennett an opportunity to kind of rock out. He did. And then when Pastor Bennett started going, it was like, wait a minute, let's get him on out of here too. And so, I agree with you wholeheartedly, brother, on that, you know, with 200,000 plus subscribers, you know, you got a heavy responsibility, and that responsibility is to ensure that your people are getting the correct information. The correct information, regardless, they should be getting the correct information. I do know that he often says, you know, I want to show both sides. I want to give everybody a voice, but in the pandemic, not in the pandemic, in the pandemic, our people need to be armed with correct information and proper knowledge.
Yeah, Doc, so let's talk about that, and we'll get iterated some more, reiterated on the show tonight. But let's talk about the other side. The fact of the matter is, there is no other side. It's the side of science. And you make your argument through science. And if you're not making your argument through science on a topic which requires science, you just a Negro peeing or a ninja talking crap. That's all you're actually doing. The other side does not build a nation. When you're talking about building a nation and you're using science and technology and math, you know what I'm saying, and literature and all these things, you know what I'm saying, you do not allow people to come in with the nonsense. You have to be credible in a conversation that requires you to be credible. And to be an electrical engineer, you have to be credible in that particular topic. Like Brother Kyle, he's credible in that topic. He can talk about, you know what I'm saying, the 5G in the middle of a pandemic. He has a degree in it. Dr. Oya Adwoa has a doctorate degree in electrical engineering. We got leaders in the community, just because they're young, they don't even know what the hell a doctor is. Like, it's crazy to me. Like, to be a doctor, you got to deal with medicine. Like, listen, I understand that most of us are on a 4th to 5th grade reading level. I promise you that. You don't look at the game show, How to Be the 5th Grader, you can't be the 5th grader. I get it. I know we talking over people's heads. I get it. And the only way to fight back is to say, they don't know what they're talking about. They don't know what they're talking about. And then, you know, they forget that they watch this. When it comes to other communities, right, they know there is not another side when you're dealing with science. And they ignore their ass. You rarely ever hear a scientist or engineer and all that really argue with their pseudo, because they know in that world it actually gives them credibility. So when you're having a conversation with Blight, it actually gives some credibility. Look, he's going up against Doctor. Oh, he got on that point. That's the game, y'all. Wake up. No one is saying trust the damn government. That's not what we're saying. I'm not even, matter of fact, Brother Ankh don't even fucking trust humans. I've been shot the hell up by human beings that was not white. Do y'all really want to play a game? So I don't trust the woman, none of that. They have to earn trust with me over the years. And when you break that trust, I start fucking with you for 4 or 5 years. Because, you know what I'm saying, I gave you an opportunity, we was building trust, and you broke that shit. Understand who the fuck I am. I levels up. People had to earn my trust in Baltimore, Maryland. That's why I'm living. Over 15 years. Listen, I broke law with brothers that I grew up with for 15, 20 years. They had earned my trust. There were situations with one of my best friends, Brother Jace. Shout out to Brother Jace. Hell of a family man. That's the man right there. You know what I'm saying? I'll never forget it. I was outside, I was near the arcade, and I got into a fight. I don't want to give you all the particulars. And I knocked the dude out. I wanted to stop his ass out, but they pulled me off of him. He got up wildly and went over to his girl and got a gun on her damn pocketbook. So we running, the nigga banging at us, we running, right? A man, Jake, gets in the arcade, right? I tried to open the door, I couldn't, because niggas was holding the fucking door back, right? I'm still running banging. Do you know this brother came outside and literally took a bullet from me because he took the attention off of me. The nigga looked at him and shot him. And I was able to get away. That nigga I trust with my damn life. for our culture. In Africa, maybe, we might not be in this damn situation. So I'm never telling anybody to trust anybody. I'm saying they earn your trust. So we drink the fucking water because we've earned their trust. Well, we drink bottled water. Okay, there's a company. Regulations that bottle your damn water. You're not walking outside to the damn lake, get no damn water off the ranch. You might do it a couple times, but you're not doing it every day. So listen, the conversation is for the level. And it's obvious, right, that certain dudes and certain platforms don't have the level. Or they can have the level, they have access to the level, but based off of their level of understanding, they don't really fuck with the level. Yeah, and guess what? Brother Unc don't need no damn friends. To hell with my fucking fake ass friends. To hell with that shit. How about that? If you my friend, then you're gonna love the people as much as I love the people. If you my friend. If you're my friend, you're going to allow us to say what we need to say. If you're my friend. But really, man, you're trying to use me. You know what I'm saying? Because it's fun. We can clown off. He ain't really getting mad. Y'all don't even know me. How about that? A fucking friend.
Unc, you got me over here cracking up. Oh my gosh, because you speak with so much passion, man, so much passion and fire, but in so much truth. So like you said, you may crack jokes, but a lot of the stuff, I'm like, I tell people, I say, you guys listen to Brother Unc, a lot of the stuff that he says out of his mouth, you go back and research it, is true. And I think, Unc, the issue is with us is that we tell uncomfortable truths. And I think that in order for, not even I think, I feel and think that in order for us to progress as a people, we gotta start being real with ourselves. And I think that Black people are just simply in denial, you know, and living in the state of denial is actually a symptom of our mental illness. I mean, when I say that Black people are mentally ill, and remember, you and I were building on this earlier, and I said we have a lot of undiagnosed and untreated mental illness in our communities. And when I say that online, people get upset with me, but Dr. Wade Nobles would agree with me. Dr. Francis Cress Welsing would agree with me. Dr. Amos Wilson would agree with me. Dr. Kobe Kambon would agree with me. And Dr. Naeem Akbar would agree with me. And for those in the chat or those who are listening to the video who don't know who these people are, these are some of our renowned Black psychologists who talk about the mental illness in the Black community all the time. Hell, Dr. Joy Dugary, who wrote Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome, she would agree with me. You know, and so, you know, we live in a constant state of denial. That's a symptom of mental illness. Black people operate in a state of fear, paranoia, and mistrust. Those are symptoms of our mental illness. And I feel like we have to be real with ourselves in order to, we have to first recognize, heal, and then elevate. Brother Garfield.
I'm listening to you, Doc.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm listening. Let's have my thing. See, one of the most disturbing things is this, right? You know what I'm gonna start doing? How I end all these conversations? I'm gonna play their game with them. Anytime they come with no foolishness about the white man, I'm gonna say, okay, let's say I take your side of the angle. Take your side. Can you give me a source from a non-white? Can you give me a non-white source for all the information that you're spewing? This guy gonna say to me earlier today on my timeline, because I'm cutting up today on my timeline. He said, you should know that they hide stuff from you. So I said, unless you are part of the conspiracy, how would you know that they're hiding stuff? You can't know if you're in the public. The public doesn't know everything. They hide it. How do you know that? Unless you're a part of the conspiracy itself. You don't know. You see, I'm a member of what's called Gates Notes. Gates Notes is Bill Gates, his blog, or what he does. He shows all the work he's doing all over the world, right? And when I look at what, I'm not changing the conversation here. I'm just talking about white people and how we think about conspiracies. And if you look at all the work this guy has done, I don't see why Black people wouldn't like Bill Gates. But instead, we want to listen to Reza Islam, Young Pharaoh, SETI,
talk about it,
Phil Valentine, Curtis Koss, Verstein, and all these people. I don't care how cute they are. They dumb as rocks. That's the problem. They dumb as rocks. And the truth of the matter is, as much as y'all going on pastor, some of y'all disagreed with the pastor the way how he was going in. Y'all disagreed with pastor, and pastor was right. He was right.
He's 100% right, Garfield.
So y'all need to look at yourselves in the mirror and ask yourself the question: what side should you be on? You want to be on the right side or the wrong side? If you want to be on the conspiracy side, oh, they got a lawsuit. This guy filed a fake lawsuit and put it on the record. So he's suing. He's have a lawsuit with President Obama, Clinton, Bush, and I have all these Photoshop names on it, saying, and then people are passing it around saying it's facts. It's facts. Sure, but I got a challenge for everybody though that says Garfield is wrong. Give me a source that's not white. Give me a source that's not a YouTube video. Give me a source that's not an anti-vaxxer website. Yeah, just give me a source so we could vet it. Give me a good source. And as Ankh says, and I agree with him 100%, I've been saying it the last 2 weeks, there's no two sides to the story. It is one scientific research, and you have different people that might have different opinions, but the research is there. If I said 100 people survive remdesivir in the new test, because you know remdesivir is one of the treatments for coronavirus. They had some very good results. Gilead stock went up. It went down by 4% the day before. It went up by 16% yesterday, because the people are talking about remdesivir, saying that, hey, it could be a cure for coronavirus, right? So now let's say the scientists put out a report that 100 people that they tested, 98 of them, I'm sorry, let's use 99 because we like the number 99 so much. 99% of them, which is 99, were cured of coronavirus. You can have a guy now that writes a column and talks about the one person that never got cured. And then the conspiracy theorists run with that one person that never got cured and say, oh, they're trying to trick us with remdesivir. It don't work. Look at this guy. His name is Ankh West, and he never got cured. And they do all these articles. And then that one person goes to another person. Then it ends up in Alex Jones' hands. Then from Alex Jones, it goes to Young Pharaoh. From Alex Jones, it goes to Reza Islam. And then they say, oh, we got the source. And Reza Islam might say, oh, well, on good authority, I have information. Who is your good authority? Alex Jones. Conspiracy websites. Humanfree.com. We know Craig exposed all of that the other day. And it's same white folks who hate America. We're trying to get involved with a civil war that white folks have with white folks. This is their business. It ain't got nothing to do with us. We suffer it every day, but we want to side with somebody who really don't like us. Don't like us. It's like the dude that's a Christian yesterday that came on Sunday. I'm gonna probably play some of it later. He don't like us. Well, he's a Christian. So does that mean that him and Pastor Bennett can go have drinks together? No, he don't like Pastor Bennett. Guess why he don't like Pastor Bennett? I bet y'all can't guess that one. But anyway, I pass back the mic to you guys, man. I'm done ranting.
No, Garfield, you're 100% right. And I love how you said it go from Alex Jones to Young Pharaoh, then to Reza Islam, then it gets to polite, it gets around the community. I was appalled with listening to Brother Bill Valentine tell about 1,000 people, it may have been 1,400 people, 1,000 to 1,400 people. He told them to paint their houses with lead. And Brother Ankh and I are from Baltimore. And so we see the effects that lead has on our babies. You know, a lot of kids are walking around literally out of their mind. I'm telling you, because we call them, and Brother Ankh, you know, we call them lead paint babies. Right?
Right.
Yeah, we call them lead paint babies in Baltimore. You know, so you know, you got, you know, real cases going on in Baltimore where kids are being impacted by lead. They're getting money from the states. They have mental disabilities because of lead. And you have people like Phil Valentine on a platform speaking to over 1,000 people, telling them to paint their houses with lead paint. I mean, that's, Brother Garfield, that's dangerous. And no one said anything on the panel when he said that nonsense. Nothing.
Can I read this? That you absolutely right. It's just, I mean, I understand. Just say, the more wilder you make it sound, the more people follow that. So let's go to the Surgeon General right now. This says, maybe I should send. I'm gonna send it to you, Garfield. They say in just weeks, COVID-19 deaths have snowballed from a few isolated cases to thousands across the country each day. The U.S. Surgeon General had warned that last week would be like Pearl Harbor, as he attempted to create context for the threat. But it turned out that more than 5 times as many Americans died from COVID-19 last week than were killed in World War II. Right. So it's the point here is that there's a fine line. And the only way to see that fine line is through education. And I mean a thorough education. So like when I'm studying a topic, you got the pseudo history that we all know well. Well, the first president was black. Don't accept that the first president is black. Go prove that the first president was black. And the first obstacle you're going to come up with is that during the time where John Hanson was supposed to be the first black president, there wasn't a president in the United States. There wasn't, the states weren't unified. It was called the Continental Congress. And so John Hanson would have been in charge of the Continental Congress. So now you stuck. Well, you know, so why are we saying that if he was black, he's the first black president? No, because they didn't have presidents back then. You already did. You're done right there. Like the conversation should be over, but even after you understand the Continental Congress, you'll still fight to make John Hanson black. The point I'm making here is that through your education, first of all, you got to have a love for self and love for your damn ancestors, because you can be educated and not give a damn about your ancestors and don't even care about Africa. Right? That's not who we are, Dr. Bailey, Brother Unc. Yes, that's not who we are. We actually love our people and care about our people. And just because you don't care about your ancestors, don't mean you don't love your immediate people. So we gotta stop there too. We must accept the people that want to take up the fight and allow them to fight the way they fight. And the only way you fight misinformation is with real information. It's not like they can hide it from us. I know they keep it in a secret place called the library or the museum. I know. But the reality is we're at a point now we can actually learn about sources. You know what I'm saying? Primary source, secondary source, tertiary sources. We should know what these are before we start talking crap. I'm not going to read a newspaper. Nigga, it's a newspaper. My father always told me every day, read the paper. Read the paper. Read the paper. So we learn how to read sources and critique the information. And never take one person's word for it. It has to be backed up. So if you got a source with one guy, you got the one guy source. Now that doesn't mean that one guy is wrong, because one person can be right. When we talk about global warming and that whole situation about the mathematics being wrong, right? But a scientist actually corrected the math, but he's still within the scientific community. He's not coming off the top of his damn head. Okay? So we need to learn the right way. It's okay, so everybody's on this thing with sources. Right? And I ain't got to chew my own horn, but I fucking will, because y'all homo sapiens, ignoramuses don't realize that I seen the need for us to provide sources, because I was amongst the New Wabians, and in listening to that nonsense, you would never get a source. And so Malachi York, and they call him Dr. Malachi York, the nigga never was a doctor. He would just talk, and put together stories in fine African fashion. He could talk that talk, but he would never give you a source. Phil Valentine never gives you a source. And when he do open his mouth about a source, he gives you a crazy, lunatic white guy. Go back and listen to that show we did on Sarnetta's Man Phil. He gives you a lunatic white guy. So I understood Bobby Hemmett which is one of my favorites, funny as hell, he would never give you a source. Okay, so I say, man, we need sources. Okay, so now we got the sources. Now, do you understand how to use a source? Do you know if that source is correct? Do you know how to follow the claim to its origin? You know what I'm saying? Do you know these things? Step to it. Take a song, that's class. He talks about methodology. Brother Sean said all day long. Really, Sean is starting to be like the other people in the other community where they don't even fucking address you. They let your ass die. They don't even deal with the pseudos. I deal with the pseudos because I love my people. And I feel like we need some kind of goddamn border where people can say, okay, okay. Because they would just run crazy now. See, me and John talked about this. Right? And the point I was making was that human beings basically aren't stable anyway mentally. There's so much going on to be a human. So much things you go through in your life. But now you got to add in the continental kidnapping trade to black people, and now look at it. So, you know, in our community, if you go to a psychologist, we call it the shrink, and we call you fucking crazy, which is very unhealthy. In other communities, it's very healthy to go to a psychiatrist, right? In the black community, what end up happening is that you got to be in a fucking drug rehab, being short on drugs before you get to talk about your mental issues. You know, like you got to go to fucking NA or AA. AA is Alcoholics Anonymous, and NA is Narcotics Anonymous, where you sit around in a group setting and you talk about getting high and what it was, and you try to get this shit that's buried deep down inside you. You know what I'm saying? You try to get that out. But then who the hell? Everybody ain't strung out. Most people aren't strung out for black community. Most people, black people, aren't getting that type of help. So in our community, we have a community that you want to consider to be black power, but it's anti-scientific, right? So to be anti-scientific is to be anti-human. And to be anti-human is to be anti-African. So you really witness against the very thing that you claim to profess when you anti-science and you anti-human. I am confused at this point why Polite would sit in his house with one of the most beautiful babies I've seen in a long time, holding a cell phone, talking about radiation, that the killers, and I don't trust the government. But wait a minute. The roof that is off your child's head is regulated. You gotta pull a fit before you can build a house. Before you can do any work within a house, you gotta have it's called a building permit. How do I know? Because I've been part of building projects. The government the local government has to sign off on it. You gotta go down to the office where you pull damn permit to keep from killing your ass. Because left to our own devices, we would get cheap supplies, go cut down a tree and throw that shit up, and the whole house caving on your motherfucking ass. They got tired of that, so they regulated. The same with medicine, they got tired of the quacks. Because you go back in the 1700s, the fucking doctors was quacks, and the quacks was super quacks. It was a quack fight. They had to start to regulate this shit. So now, the black power community has taken us back to a time where there weren't any regulations, and that becomes the standard. Let me say it slow, because sometimes I'm yelling. I said the black power community is trying to take us back to a time where there weren't any regulations, and the quacks ruled the day. The quack doctors and the quacks ruled the day, where there weren't any regulations. So now they want us to buy products from people with no regulations. Who in the hell is Minister Stinky Inky? Where is he producing his product? What's the regulation on that? They sell you supplements. You can read on the supplement. These statements have not been, have not been recognized by the what? By the Drug and Food Administration. Okay? So the government. He's trying to kill us because they put all that stuff in there to kill everybody, so everybody will be dead and nobody will make no money. The government is definitely doing it. The whole community fought against me, trying to bring y'all to level. My whole life with this crazy ass community, I sacrificed shit for niggas to tell me I don't own this and I don't fucking own that. Look, nigga, I donated to the cause, nigga. It's what I did. I helped build a motherfucker. It's what I did. I said the community needed a goddamn space to go where they could talk that black power talk and not get thrown the fuck out. That's what Brother Hump did. And I get spit off for that shit, and I get bananas for that shit. I ain't bitter. I just cuss y'all niggas off. So we in a time span where things that are highly regulated and are more safe are considered to be unnatural, and things, you know what I'm saying, that really aren't safe and have no regulation and is based off of one person's decision, that becomes the standard and that becomes natural. It's a misuse of the term natural, and the whole community surrounds that idea of nature, and they fucking don't understand nature. Who is best to understand nature? Is religion and the Bible best to understand nature? Now I'm kicking that real black atheist shit. It's the Bible. You understand? And religion best to understand nature, or it's science. What is science? Science is the study of the natural world. Well, what is the natural world? Anything that ain't religious and anything that ain't supernatural. What is science? To know. To know what? To know and understand the natural forces that permeate in the fucking universe. That's what science. So really, if you want to know about nature, you got to deal with science. Now, if you want to guess at it, then you go to religion. So our community is centered on the misuse and misunderstanding of the word natural. They really want to be supernatural. And Dr. Oya Maat gets laughed at for having a degree. Oh, she trusts white people. That shit's not funny to Brother Uncle. It's not funny when you talk shit about Sister Nye, who has a degree, a master's goddamn degree, and understanding why your ass is crazy. Y'all don't even fucking support her, who's the fight. Y'all barely want to support Dr. Oya Maat, who has put an animated lesson in the fucking community, who spent thousands of dollars. We've actually spent thousands of dollars after she paid that goddamn debt to fucking society. She spent thousands of her hard-earned money. Then she dug out the ground. She had to dig that shit out the ground. That wasn't no hustle money she spent on the motherfucking animated lessons. It was hard work money from her whole family coming together. Shout out to her mom. And she gets laughed at and joked at. I spent thousands of dollars to bring the community a product that would show you, that would show the next generation, hey man, we can do the thing. And you know what I got? Oh, that nigga got some shoes from China. I'm like, nigga, did you look at your shoes? Your fucking shoes, excuse me, like, your shoes, pull up the tab, are from China or Indonesia. They're not from Ghana. They're not from Ethiopia. So why are you judging me like that? Because that's what y'all do. And it's based off your social economic status, and it's based off your inability to reason and think, because to reason and think would mean that you would need to be educated. Now, how do we know that education is so important? Because we look at Kemet, and Kemet had an educational system that made them the level of the world. And they was the level for so long, and so much so that they write books about it forever. And they were so much on the damn level that Europeans had to copy that system. Yep, I just wanted, and I wanted to drop the mic right there, yo.
Because I was like, hold up. I said, why is he so quiet? And so you did, I mean, you really did just drop the mic. I mean, you said so much, like ping. I wish Brother Garfield had those effects, you know, like the bomb or like the mic just dropping, like, you know, or
well, yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, when you get the struggle, sis, you in the struggle, man. You in the classroom, and it's not hard to talk like this, man. You can replay this shit over. You do the same thing, man. We come on, man. We know we behind and we losing, yo. We're not losing.
We are. I agree with you. We're behind, like you said, and we're losing. And our elders and our ancestors have been saying this. I remember I had a conversation with Baba Dick Gregory before he died. There's a brother in Baltimore, family. His name is Brother Jabari Nator. You can catch him on Facebook. He started an organization back in the 90s with another brother named Sundiata. They started an organization called Reality Speaks back in the 90s. And they brought a lot of people through here. You know, they brought Claude Anderson, Dick Gregory, Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. Even before people knew who Dr. Umar Johnson was, you know, he was here in Baltimore a few times. I'm talking about, you know, Reality and Umar Johnson here when there was 5 people in the audience. Okay, so Brother Jabari Nator has been in the community for a long time. Not only did he start, you know, the organization to bring in speakers, he also has a shop here in Baltimore called Conscious Heads Barbershop. And again, if you go to my channel, Dr. Oya Maat, I had videos up taking you through a journey of Baltimore. So I show you all of the Black businesses and Black, you know, African-centered organizations and you know, on my channel. So it's called a journey through Baltimore. But anyway, so he brought Baba Dick Gregory here before Baba Dick Gregory transitioned. And I was able to take a picture with him and talk to him, you know, backstage. And so Baba Dick Gregory, he was like, you know, I'm getting older. This is what he said to me. He said, I'm getting older. And he said, you know, I'm just worried. You know, I've been talking to Black people for years. And, you know, he said, I spent my life, you know, just trying to tell Black people the truth, trying to wake Black people up. And he said, we just don't get it. You know, he said, we don't get it. He was like, I think something is seriously wrong with us. You know, we just don't get it. And so he expressed that, you know, how behind we are, just like you said, Brother Ankh, how we behind, how we drowning, how we losing right now. And so he was very frustrated. I also had a conversation with Dr. Claude Anderson. Brother Jabari brought him to Baltimore, and he also brought him to Washington, D.C. It's a restaurant in D.C. called the Everlasting Life, a vegan cafe. And they also have, like, they bring in speakers and stuff like that. And so Dr. Claude Anderson spoke at Everlasting Life, and I went to both lectures, the one in Baltimore and the one in DC, and I had an opportunity to speak with Dr. Claude Anderson backstage, and he said the same thing you said, Ankh. He said, you know, he's like, you know, we're losing right now. He said, we're losing, we're behind. He said, it's frustrating, and he echoed Baba Dick Gregory's sentiments. He said that something is seriously wrong with us. And this is not a pound on Black people, you know, thing. This is just an observation. And I mean, these are, you know, well, you know, Claude is an elder now, Baba Dick Gregory is an ancestor, but these are what our people have been telling us, our predecessors are telling us. So like Claude Anderson said, we got to get it together and got to get it together fast, or Black people will forever remain, in the words of Dr. Claude Anderson, a bottom class group of people. We're already at the bottom, you know what I mean? And so we try to get to the top, but if we don't change our psychology, thus change our behavior, we're going to end up being a permanent bottom class. Right now, all of our children should be involved in STEM. Stop sending your children to school. And I mean, I know you say, oh, I want to get, I looked on collegeorg.com and no, I'm sorry, college.org. And they said that 80%, Brother Ankh, of Black people, of Black children going to college are getting degrees in business. And so you might say, well, that's a good thing. We could build Black businesses in a community, but they're getting their business degrees and they're going to work for white folks. They're not taking business. They're not getting degrees in businesses and coming back to the Black community to create jobs for Black people, right? They're not doing that. My son is at Howard University right now in the School of Business. And he shared with me, I said, well, are you guys talking about the racial wealth gap? Are you reading books like Powernomics or anybody, you know? So I'm asking him these questions. He said, no, Ma, he said, The only thing that we talk about really is how to make it in America, how to make it in corporate America. He said they have a lot of corporate sponsors who come there and recruit the best and the brightest. And so their ultimate goal is to get a job working for their businesses. He told me that that's really the philosophy at Howard University School of Business. And so again, we got to change our mindset. Our children should be involved in STEM. If you're going to send your child to college for a business degree, at least tell them to go out and create jobs and not go get a business degree to get a job, right? Get our children involved in STEM. We need more scientists. We need people in technology, engineering. We need mathematicians. Think about this. We talk about nation building. How are we going to nation build, Brother Ankh, with everybody running to get business degrees and working for white folks? You're not nation building anything. Let's go back to Marcus Garvey. When Baba Marcus Garvey, and when he was encouraging people to repatriate, and I believe it was Liberia, where they were going over to Liberia, and Liberians were going to set up some space or give them some land to build on. The first people he took with him, and Dr. Amos Wilson talks about this in his book Blueprint for Black Power, the first group of people who went with Marcus Garvey was engineers. They were engineers. And Marcus Garvey said in a lot of his speeches that we need to bring up or rise up a generation of scientists, thinkers. And so our children should be involved in STEM. We're in the age of technology now. So we better get ourselves together, Brother Ankh, or be left behind. Now I muted my mic, and you brothers not saying anything now. Why is it? Garfield's mic is muted. Ankh, your mic is muted. I didn't went on my tangent. I'm gonna mute my mic.
Maybe we like hearing you drop in silence. Yo, I got my brother. Hey, Dr. Oya Maat. There's a microbiologist. There's a brother. I'm gonna send you his information, right? He wants to do a build with you on the whole telecommunication stuff and with a microbiology spin to it. So I'm going to send you his name. He wants you to look at his LinkedIn profile to show he's legitimately a microbiologist, so that y'all could build and teach the people. All right. So he wants to set up something where you guys could have a conversation or something off the air, and so y'all could build and then put something together in like a week and come back to the people, man.
Hey, tell that brother.
What you talking about, Dragon? What you talking about, yo? Dragon, yo? What you talking
No,
All right, go ahead.
No, I think Brother Garfield, that would be a powerful bill, because that's the piece I'm missing. I'm not a biologist, okay? I'm an engineer. When I matriculated through the program, I took one biology class, and so I'm not a biologist by any means. So I think that his presence would definitely be a wonderful thing, because he can add that biology component that I can't. Now I can speak from the perspective of the electrical engineering part. And by the way, Brother Garfield, I gotta bring this up, and I'm not gonna say any names, but there was a gentleman about 2 years ago who said, and I never forget it because it was just so stupid to me. And I called Brother Ankh a few times. I said, Brother Ankh, people can't be this stupid. And he said, yeah, he said, sister, this is what I've been dealing with, since I've been in the community. So the gentleman told the world that Dr. Maat is an electrical engineer. The only thing that she knows how to do is to cut on lights. I said, Jesus Christ. So this brother doesn't even understand what an electrical engineer does. I sat back and I said, wow. I said, is he confusing electrical engineering with a technician? Like, what is he, what is he thinking? Is he thinking about the guys that come out from BG&E and they come into your home and they, they look at your breaker, or they pop the outlets out of your wall and see, I was like, does he really think that that's what electrical engineers do? And so I was floored by that comment, and I couldn't believe it. I mean, and people believe them. And so like Brother Ankh said, I mean, people like that, they're dangerous because they're spreading a lot of misinformation, but people actually believe, yeah, she could only cut on lights. And I was like, oh my gosh, just Google search electrical engineering. Just do a quick Google search and you'll see that electrical engineers are the reason that we can have this conversation right now, Brother Garfield, on YouTube. Electrical engineers are the reason why you can sit on it, why you have a computer. If you crack open your phone, what do you think is inside of your phone? Electrical components, a circuit. So electrical engineers are the reason you have a cell phone, the reason why you understand electromagnetic radiation, because the signal systems and transformations is a part of electrical engineering. It's a subfield of electrical engineering. Materials and devices, understanding conductivity and resistivity. I always get that word messed up when I talk about it in class. Resistivity or something like that. But understanding the flow of charge in materials and devices, that's a part of electrical engineering. The reason why you can safely log into your bank account and you know, and your passwords and things are protected. And I know things get hacked, but the reason why that you have a level of security on the internet is because of electrical engineering. Cybersecurity is a subfield of electrical engineering. Cybersecurity, language recognition, speech to text algorithms, speech recognition, voice recognition, all of those are subfields of what? Electrical engineering. Drones, electrical engineering. Brother Garfield, I'm gonna go ahead and mute my mic. I sound like Ankh now. I'm gonna go ahead and mute my mic.
Nah, maybe we like hearing you, man. We like your fake Baltimore accent. We like that. And
it is thick. And you know what's crazy? Brother Garfield? You know, we only get that when we go outside of Baltimore. Because in Baltimore, you know, we don't hear it. We all speak alike, right? Mm-hmm. And so, you know, when I get to New York and I speak, they say, oh, you from Baltimore. If I go down south, they say, oh, she's from Baltimore. And so I didn't realize until I started traveling in my early 20s that Baltimoreans definitely have, you know, an accent, especially when we pronounce the word two. They were joking me like, look how she says two, you know. So I know that it's thick.
So how is it that we live in a world where it requires the level to compete and to move forward as communities? How is it that we reside in this world, but yet every chance we get, we spit at the level? How is it that way? We spit at learning and information. And even if a person professes to be an autodidact, where are they getting the information from? So you always got to go back to the information. Where are they getting it from? You know what I'm saying? Who learning center? Who put up the information? Where has it been critiqued at? How is it that we live in a world where you go against the very thing that makes your world work? I don't know, man. I just don't. Yeah, Garfield, you know, sometimes we get frustrated, man. Listen to people there, man. Because I done heard I done looked in the peanut gallery and some people talking reckless.
Oh, man.
They're in the peanut gallery.
I know they're not.
You should bring them on.
No, they're not. No, they're not.
Reckless.
Hold on. I'm getting ready to look in the chat now. You said it's the peanut. We got some peanut gallery folks in here. Let me look in the chat. Hold on.
Let me put the link in the chat. I'm gonna see if Craig want to come on. Craig Moore could come on because I want to get into Reza Islam and the whole Bill Gates stigma. People hate Bill Gates, and you know, this guy brought a report of the meningitis stuff to me today, and he showed that 40 of the kids had gotten some neurological problems when they had gotten the vaccine. And I don't know if people realize the meningitis vaccine program actually saved over 100 million African lives.
Right.
I don't think people know that. So if 40 people had a reaction, nobody's saying vaccines are perfect. We've never said that. It's 0.0001% of the people who get vaccines, there's sometimes an issue. So nobody's saying it's perfect. But out of those 100 million people, how many people you know? Reza Islam, Mr. NOI, Ben X, Young Pharaoh, SETI. How many of them have ever helped anybody in Africa? Anybody. I'm talking a random dude, you know, anybody, much less to help them with a meningitis serious situation.